when I was at the store, I picked up this newspaper called Ephraim News. It's a Houston-based black news publication, and I was reading it, and it was speaking about the truth about Memorial Park. So I'm going to do two parts of this. So I'm going to quickly just give you a brief history of Memorial Day, in case people don't know. Memorial Day was created by ex-slaves after the Civil War who wanted to commemorate the dead black Union soldiers who never got proper burial. So after, you know what I'm saying? So after the war and all that, after the Civil War, all the black soldiers in the Union Army, they didn't get their props. They got buried in a mass grave. And I want to say maybe it was a year later or something like that, black people, newly freed slaves, went in to the mass grave, dug them up, gave them a proper burial, blah, 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 blah. That's Memorial Day. So Memorial Day really is like, it's us. It was created by us. It's for us. So we can honor black soldiers. And when I say black soldiers and black warriors, I mean also like those who, you know what I'm saying, the Nat Turners, the Chris Dorners, those who fought on our behalf, whether they wore a uniform or not. But, you know, it's a time to honor them. But anyway, so this is not, now this story right here isn't about Memorial Day. It's about Memorial Park, but it involves black soldiers in a race riot that happened in Houston that I heard vaguely about. But let's go ahead and get this real quick. All right, so the truth about Memorial Park, and hopefully you can read along. So Houston, when's the last time you visited Memorial Park in Houston? There are a lot of histories that lies within Memorial Park, history that is not told as much as it should be. If it is told at all. Memorial Park was once home to Camp Logan, 3,000 acres within a tract of 9,600 acres, and was equipped to house an estimate of 40,000 troops. Camp Logan was created in response to Germany, so basically it was World War I stuff, right? So according to the Heritage Society, the Selective Service Act was passed, and millions of men entered the draft, and they needed to be trained. Blah, 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 blah. Let's skip down. August 23rd, 1917, the Houston riot occurred, which is known at Camp Logan as the Camp Logan Mutiny, which impacted 156 soldiers, historically known as Buffalo Soldiers, all of the Black 3rd Battalion, 24th Entry, according to Prairie View's website. The 3rd Battalion, let me see here. Where are we at? The 3rd Battalion, 24th Entry, was sent to Houston to guard and protect. Let me turn on the flashlight real quick. Hold on. There we go. All right, so the 3rd Battalion, 24th Infantry was sent to Houston to guard and protect the construction of Camp Logan. It was noted that the black soldiers who were stationed in Texas were always subject to violence because Houston was a southern city that was governed under Jim Crow laws. The soldiers were treated bad for weeks by local citizens as well as the police department. Tensions rose even higher when one of the black soldiers was arrested and false rumors were made that he was killed while in custody of the police, which sparked a violent response. So in other words, this is Memorial Day, right? We got Grandmaster Jay in prison, right? We got what happened in Buffalo, no, you know what I'm saying, relation to the Buffalo Soldiers in this, but we have what happened in Buffalo not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. So this is a good time to really reflect on, like, this is why we need proper response, but I don't want to digress too much. So the soldiers were treated blah, 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 blah. Where we got sparked a violent response. More than 100 of the soldiers marched down to the police station. So 100 soldiers marched down to the police station with their weapons. The city was placed under martial law on August 24th, 1917. A white mob of citizens from Houston responded to the soldiers with violence. There were 11 citizens and 5 police officers who were killed. 30 civilians were severely injured. 4 of the mutinous soldiers were killed, 2 of them being accidentally shot by their own men. But so even right there, look at the numbers. So like when I say stuff like a lot of people will say things like, I hear some goofy shit all the time about how these police killings are just a hoax because they want to start a race war. Listen, if you don't notice, when they come after us, they only come after us when we're vulnerable. They come after women and children, and they come after good niggas when they've isolated us. They don't come when they might catch that fade. And if you know history, you know about the Civil War, you understand that the whole Civil War was won because of black soldiers. The North was getting mopped up. So my point is, right here, they caught a fade, 4-16, and two of those four that they got, it was really friendly fire. But anyway, another soldier was killed by a citizen. 24th Battalion Infantry was placed on a train the next day and sent away, where they were all court-martialed. Not too long after, on December 11th, 1917, 13 black soldiers were hung on Camp Travis in San Antonio. Sadly, the men were buried and were not identified by name, only by number. So, that's another thing that ties into Memorial Day, because that's why Memorial Day was even started in the first place, was to give, I'm trying to hold this camera, to give, a proper burial to the soldiers of the Civil War, the black soldiers of the Civil War. So right here, buried with no number. Other soldiers were given life sentencing in the following year. In September 1918, 6 additional soldiers were also hung. And actually, I think there was a Red Summer of 1917, 1918. So there was a lot of race riots and wars going on during that time. So so 6 additional soldiers were also hung at Camp Travis. There was no evidence if the first soldiers participated in the riot, but 6 men in the second group were identified as soldiers who shot at civilians during the riot. Many people do not know this historic event, that it is known as a most tragic event that occurred in Houston. This is because people don't talk about history like they should. It is easier to act as if nothing happened than to acknowledge the past. Roy Douglas Melanson stated, "If you want to destroy a race, destroy its history." This is why we have to, keep our history documented and known, right? There are several reasons why history is important. For one, it teaches us about our culture. To know where we're going, we must know where we come from. If we allow them to erase our history, then future generations would not know what slavery and racism is, and how easily history could repeat itself. I think somebody left a message. Let me see. So not only that, we shouldn't just know our history just so we can regurgitate trauma, but of course we should know it so we'll understand, how to maneuver, because a lot of these tactics they used then, they still use now. We can identify them, we can adapt. But also we need to know our history that is good history. We need to know the history that empowers us. The same way, if your kids go to public school, they teach them about George Washington. They don't teach them about Marcus Garvey. They teach them about Christopher Columbus. They teach them about the greatness of Europeans, who by default, their greatness is to our detriment, right? Christopher Columbus was responsible for the murder of over 60 million indigenous people, many of them black, not all. You know what I'm saying? George Washington had slaves. All these great founding fathers were anti-us, right? But that information empowers them. When they say Christopher Columbus discovered America, they're not really lying. They're telling it from their own perspective. Because indeed, Christopher Columbus discovered America, but for who? Let's see if I can turn this. He discovered America for them, because there was already people here. So it's important to know that history. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this story I ran into about Memorial Park here in Houston, and also to let you know the truth about the history of Memorial Day. Let me see. I think somebody said something. Let me see. Let me acknowledge your chat. Okay. So Doug Patterson said, "Travesty at the travesty. This is all they've been doing to us. Claire, you gotta stop. Hold up. You gotta stop talking about it. I like what you're putting out there. Don't get me wrong. Information is information. And yes, they have been destroying our history big time. Enough is enough." Now, it's not that we gotta quit putting it out there. It's one thing to understand history and what we've been through. It's another thing to trauma bond on it and use it as a reason not to get something done, or to be paralyzed by the information. We need a balance. So if we can identify, like, okay, this is what was the past, these are the same tactics, here's how we could navigate, here's what we could expect, because they run the same playbook. They neutralize those who will stand up. This is, we see this with the Grandmaster Jay. You see this every time they attack somebody who has influence, who is doing things positive or has a positive influence, whether it be a celebrity. They'll neutralize them. So now we got to understand the game. You know what I'm saying? We just can't regurgitate and saturate it so much to where that's all we're focused on. Like, we have a great rich history. We also have things, and we can't even regurgitate even on the positive history. We gotta make history now. We have to understand where we are now, what our capabilities are, what our challenges are. You know what I'm saying, and what our potential is, and manifest that. Anyway, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Peace.